Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody? Did you wake up this morning?
I did wake up 5 o'clock.
I wake up 5:20 and apparently Ofer just wake up.
So we had a lovely walk with my walking partner. But how do you feel? Did you listen to the song I sent you?
And did you do the exercise yesterday? You get some awareness.
How deep did you go?
So you can share on the chat also how it went for you, or if you get any awareness from it. And today, actually, we wanted to talk about intention, right, my love?
Yes, one of the things.
Yes. So we want you to start to think, what is your intention for these 30 days morning community? Why in the first place did you join the morning community? What would you like to achieve in this 30 days community? And I want you also to remind you, for those who were in the previous morning community, and the other one I will just share for you some tips. You probably remember that Ofer was explaining about the difference between symbols and experience. For example, symbol will be like money, and the experience might be freedom, might be belonging to, or can be different things. Or safety, for example. So I want you to, when you write, your intention, what you would like to achieve, to also connect to actually what are the feeling, what are the experience you're looking for behind this. For example, in the previous morning community, my intention was to wake up early. And it was not just to wake up early, it was to wake up early. So I feel inspired. I have time for myself to write the things that are important for me. And I was feeling like productive. I was feeling also energized from this. So I really connect also to the experience I was looking for, and also ready to win my morning, like I make my day. So my love, do you want to add anything about this?
Basically, yes, don't get attached with the result. Just have an intention and bring your action. Don't get attached with the result, because before, this is what I did. I was attached with the results. Everybody was telling me, don't get attached. I said, how is that possible? And never worked for me. Up until 2 months, and everything started to change for me, because I get my intention, I pay full action, I start to work without to think about the results, and everything comes to me. And I really start believing miracles. So if your intention is to wake up 5 o'clock and you don't wake up 2-3 days, don't judge yourself. Don't say, my God, I failed. No, you didn't fail, man. Just continue. And in the end, you will see how it's going for you.
Yeah, you might want to be also progressive. When I wanted to wake up earlier, I was planning to wake up 5 o'clock, but I start 6:30, then after 6 o'clock. So, be gentle with yourself also on the process, and trust the process. This is very important. We saw this also before with the faith with Stabriana. Another thing that we wanted to talk about is accountability partners.
Oh, yes, this is huge, by the way. For example, today I wake up 5 o'clock. Yesterday I wake up 5 o'clock. And honestly, as you know, most of me, I'm talking for me, if it was on my own, because I tried before, if it was on my own, I could say, okay, just to sleep a little bit more. And I will sleep a little bit more, and this is going to be until 8. But when I know someone is waiting for me, I jump from bed and I call this person immediately. We keep each other accountable. We give feedbacks to us. We care for us. And this is the power of the peer group. That's why we are all of us here. And
so we're going to assign you today an accountable partner. It's better, if you know this person, it's better to let us know, and it's better for you to be with someone that you don't know. You will learn a lot. You might feel also more comfortable to share some things that you wouldn't share with someone that you know. And it's going to be a great experience also for you to go out of your comfort zone.
So what we're going to do, we're going to make because there are 52 people, we're going to make 26 different messages. I will create this, and we're going to put two people in one message. It means you are accountable partners. And today you need to contact by message to each other to introduce yourself, add yourself in Facebook as a friends, and say, my intention is this. For example, my name is Krasimir Tsvetanov. My intention is to become, to have athletic body and to lose 10 kilos, things like this.
Needs to be 50% realistic.
My love, that's why I said 10, I didn't say 20 kilos. Okie dokie, karaoke.
Okay, all right. So yes, this is what you can do. And another thing is we want you to really invite you to invite your friends also, to share this with your friends. And why is it important?
What to share with their friends?
About the morning community. And so why is it important for you to share with your friend? You want to create around yourself a peer group, you know. This goes beyond us. We want to have people that support us even when we are not in the morning community, because this will end after, and you want people around you that will be understanding you and motivate you and push you forwards your dreams. So, and also, if you, especially for those of you who already follow the morning community and have seen the benefits, you might want to share this with your friend. So that's one thing we wanted today for you to think about.
And now, my basic self jump around.
We are going to bring Ofer. So we have
party man.
The party man. We didn't wake up this morning. So good morning, Ofer.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Before you start, Ofer, I want to introduce you to our new members. So Ofer Weissmann is an insight facilitator. He's from Israel. He loves selling and he loves being in service also. And he is a good friend of us who always come to help us in Cyprus, to support us for the workshop, for the seminars. And we're very thankful for him and to be here with us today.
We're so blessed to have him. And Inbao, his wife.
Yeah. So, Ofer, you will be talking with us about self-esteem and building self-trust.
Right. I understand that this week we're talking about being enough or feeling that we're not enough. So I want to start by inviting you to think of little children, like when they're, I would say 6, 7 months, maybe even a year, and maybe even a little bigger. If you look at them, they don't have a question whether they are enough. They don't say, oh, well, maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I don't deserve, so maybe I don't need to suck on my mom now. No, I'm hungry. I'm enough. I deserve, and I'm eating, and it's like a natural knowing of being perfect the way we are. So then I can go and I can look at the world and I can have adventure, but I'm enough. And whoever is telling us that we're not enough is usually our parents, peers, as we grow up. And not being enough is actually not only a limiting belief. The feeling of not being enough is being reinforced by our comparison ourselves to others. So if there is a fear that I'm not enough, I will always be looking for evidence for that. I think Barbara talked to you about limiting beliefs. So if I have a belief that I'm not enough in some area, I will look for evidence for that. And I will compare myself to people who have more, who are more, who whatever. The more is my comparison point, and then I feel that I am less, right? So that's basically part of feeling that we are not enough. And so in Insight, we talk about two ways of living our life. One way is living from the outside in, and the other is living from the inside out. So when we're living from the outside in, we're busy comparing ourselves to people around us. And we say, oh, she's more beautiful, he has more money, this guy is driving a better car, whatever it is, you know. And this is living from the outside in. If I'm living from the inside out, my judgment of whether I'm enough or not is not by comparing myself to somebody else. It's by asking myself, am I doing my best? Am I now putting myself into life? Am I being committed to do the best that I know how to do at this moment with the information that I have right now, with my abilities? So there is a big difference in that way of thinking about myself. And there is a little bit of sound. Okay, and basically being from the inside out and feeling that I'm enough means that I trust myself, I have self-esteem, I have self-respect, right? That's basically what I want to do. I want to be in a place where I know that I can trust myself no matter what. And then, even if I have some fear, that self-trust will take me outside of my comfort zone. I will know that I am capable. I will know that I will tell you a personal thing. My son took Insight when he was 13 years old. He was the youngest in the teen seminar, and he got special permission to do the seminar. And now he is more than 30 years old. He's like 34. And when I talk to him, he lives in Miami and he has a business. And when I talk to him, he once told me, the one thing that I got out of Insight was knowing that anything that happens, I will fall on my feet and I will find a way out. You know, that means to have self-trust and self-esteem. Knowing that, imagine if you had no fear, what would life look like? And I'm not talking about taking unnecessary risks and, saying, okay, I want to see if I can fly, so I will jump from the roof. That's not what I mean. Having no fear means that I can feel the fear, but I keep going forward because I trust that whatever I will find is in my capability to handle, or I trust that I have the ability to have others assist me in handling whatever I find. Okay, so that's where we want to go. And now, just think about people in your life. Do you have people who tell you, yeah, let's meet, I'll see you at 6 o'clock in the evening at the cafe, and then you go there and they are not there? Or people who tell you, I promise I will do this, I will finish this job for you, and they don't? Or people who tell you, I will come at 9 o'clock in the morning to fix your refrigerator, and you sit there at 10 o'clock in the morning and they are not coming? How do you feel about those people? Do you trust them? You know, especially people who you like, who are in your life, and you cannot say, well, I'll take another plumber or I'll take another electrician. If it's somebody who is close to you who's doing it, keeping agreements with you and not keeping them, making agreements with you and not keeping them, at some point you will say, this is somebody I like, maybe it's even a family member, but I don't trust them. That's basically it. You don't trust them because they have promised you to do things all over and again, and they don't. And those people, you will stop asking them because you know that you cannot trust them. So, you will say to yourself, if that's the way they are, I will still love them, but, I'm not counting on them for things that I really need, because if I really need it and I ask them and they say yes, but then they don't do it, then I'm stuck. So I want you to now take this idea of who you trust and how you don't trust people who don't keep their agreements, and basically now turn it around. Think about yourself. Take a moment to really think about yourself from this perspective. What would other people say about you? Do you make a lot of agreements and you don't keep them? And don't judge yourself for that. Just pay attention, awareness, just awareness. Don't go into judgment, and beating yourself up. we will talk about ways that you can basically get out of this habit of making agreements and why you make these agreements. But think about it as if you have inside of you another person. And actually, we say that you do. You do have inside you a side of you, a part of you that is we call it the basic self. It's the part of you that is like a little child. It's the part of you that wakes up in the morning with you and gives you the energy to go through the day and do the things that you want to do. But it's also the part of you that when you are not eating right, it will kind of start sending you messages. I'm hungry now. Stop playing on the computer because now I need to eat. That's the basic self, basically sending you a message that something is wrong. Or you go in the street and you see this chocolate and you decided that you're going to be on diet, and the basic self say, yeah, chocolate, I want the chocolate. And if you don't have a relationship, a good relationship with this part in you, this part in you will sabotage you. This part in you will kind of whisper in your ear and say, let's have the chocolate. Come on, you can start your diet tomorrow. We'll have just a little bit of chocolate now, and then tomorrow everything will be okay. We'll go back. And what actually is this diet? It's an agreement that you made with yourself, and your basic self has listened. So, tell yourself, every time you make an agreement, and it can be a small agreement, it can be a big agreement. A small agreement can be you wake up in the morning and you say, well, today I'm going to write the letter that I didn't write to this person. I promised somebody I'll write something and I didn't. Or yesterday I got an email and I said, okay, said to myself, tomorrow I will answer this email. Okay? Now, you wake up in the morning. This is an agreement that you have from yesterday. It's a short-term agreement. And you sit down at the computer and you look at the list of emails and you say to yourself, well, but this email is more important, so let me look at that. And then you say to yourself, well, but I didn't have coffee, so let me go and have coffee, and so on and so forth. And the day is over and you didn't do it. Okay? Now, your basic self in yesterday heard you commit to answering this email today. And your basic self is now you looking at somebody else who committed to come to your house and fix your refrigerator. And you say to yourself, and the basic self is saying to himself, well, maybe I cannot trust you. Maybe you're just telling me things and you're not doing them. So next time that you have a bigger commitment that you need energy for, like, okay, from now on, I'm going to walk 2 miles every day in the afternoon. I'm going to get out and walk 2 miles or 5 miles or whatever it is. And your basic self is just saying, ha, ha, don't kid me. I know you're not going to do that. So I'm not even going to bother and remind you. I'm not even going to bother and give you the energy for that, because I don't trust you, because you're just saying that. You don't mean that. So now I'm being mean, right? I'm kind of trying to push your buttons. But I want to tell you that I'm here to put a mirror in your face, like everybody in your life, by the way. Everybody in your life is actually there to put a mirror in your face. And once you see the mirror, you have one of two choices. You can take a piece of cloth and hanging over the mirror because you don't want to see what it shows you, and that's called resisting. Or you can look at it and say, hey, maybe there is some truth in it. So now, Ofer, I want you to tell me, first of all, why do I make all of these agreements? Second, I want you to tell me how I can make less agreements. And third, I want you to tell me how I can keep my agreements. Okay? So that's the program. I'm going to tell you all of these things. So let's start with why. Why do you make those agreements? And I found that there are many reasons why people make agreements, but one of them goes back to childhood. When I'm a child and my parent is telling me to do something, okay, there is a conflict between rebellion. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it, whatever, and between accepting love, and basically getting approval from my parents. So sometimes even without asking, I will tell my parents, I will clean my room, I will do this, I will do that, because just saying that I will do that is giving me approval. And how many of you are making agreements with your friends because you want approval? Somebody comes over to you and says, can you help me, babysit? And you say, sure. You know why? Why do I say sure? Because I want approval. Now, we say, think about approval like you have a cup, and in the cup there is approval, okay? When you grow up, the most important approval you can have is your own. Babies approve of themselves. Little children, they have self-approval. They can do a stupid picture of two circles and, string hands, and they look at it and it looks beautiful. That's the picture. This is how I know how to make a person. And they have their self-approval in the cup. But think about it that during in life, there is a little hole somewhere in this cup. Somebody hurt you very badly. Some parent, judged you. You learned how to judge yourself. Your children in school, they don't like, whatever it is. There is a little hole, and this self-approval is starting to kind of drip out, and there is less approval. You look in the cup and you say, oh, my approval is going down. So what do? You go and you get approval from others. When this person says, why don't you babysit for me? You say, sure. If somebody says, can you please take out this for me? Yes, I will, and you learn to make all of those agreements with other people, to say okay to all of those things that you don't really mean when you say it, but it's a way to get approval. Because if you ask me for something and I say yes, you will approve of me. And I feel good. Now I look, you put more approval in my cup, and I look, and from the top, it looks that it's full. But actually, most of the time, with our self-judgment, limiting beliefs, comparisons, the approval from the bottom keeps coming out, and we need approval from the top, which is approval from others, rather than having our own approval and filling that up. So we make agreements. And those agreements, after we make them, sometimes we make conflicting agreements. We make an agreement with one person, and we make another agreement with another person, and those agreements cannot work together. I need to babysit for somebody at 8 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday, but I also promised somebody to go with them to the movies on Wednesday, and then I also get told my boss that I will finish my project on Wednesday night. And all of these things, when this happens, what do I need to do? I need to basically break some of those agreements. Or I make agreements and I don't even remember. How many of you, if you really thought about it, you made so many agreements, but once you made them, you forgot. You forgot because they were not really important. You said to yourself, well, yeah, I'll meet you for coffee. Let's meet next week. Okay? I say to somebody, let's meet next week. And this week comes and goes. Or I say to myself, I need to call my sister. And then next day and the day after, and I don't call her. And this is an agreement that I made, but I forgot. If it's important, I need to remember that and do it. But if it's not important, maybe I should change the way that I talk to myself or that I talk to others, and make agreements in a different way, or make less agreements. So what we're going to do now is two things. I want to teach you how to make less agreements, and I want to work with you on taking care of the agreements that you already have made in order to lower the level of broken agreements. Because what I will suggest is the self-esteem, self-trust is based on making agreements and keeping them. When you say to yourself, I'm going to walk that 10 kilometers, and you do it, at the end, you have success. At the end, you have your basic self saying, good for you, you did it. You decided to do something, you did it. So next time you decide about something else, your basic self will be with you instead of laughing in your face and sabotaging you and saying, well, I know, I heard about it, you did it before, you said it before, I don't trust you. And you cannot have trust of others if you don't trust yourself. Trust is something, trust is not something that you receive from somebody else. Trust is something you give. If I trust you, I give you my trust, but I have to have trust in order to give it to you. So if I don't trust myself, I don't know how to trust others. Most people that you talk to who have like issues with trust, they don't trust anybody. Everybody is against me, those people are reflecting as a mirror to you this fact that they don't trust themselves. Because if I trust myself, as I said before, nothing can happen to me. I will find a way. I trust myself. If I trust you, it means that I give my trust to you, and I trust that you will do what you said to me, or that you will be okay, or whatever it is. I give you my trust. It's not something about you, it's something about me, right? So let's talk first about how to make less agreements. So it's obvious, first of all, we make less agreements. But think about the agreements that you make and write down those four rules. Four rules. First of all, do only agreements that are important. That's the first one. So if something is not important, I will not make it an agreement. I will add, let's say you say to me, how about we meet tomorrow for coffee? Now, if it's important for me and I say yes, it's an agreement. But I can also say, you know what? Call me up tomorrow. We will have a tentative meeting. Call me up tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If I'm free, we will set the time and I will come, right? Or I will call you up at 3 o'clock and I will make a decision. Or, let's just set a meeting on the beach, and, if we meet, we meet, and if not, we'll just communicate later on WhatsApp or whatever. So if the agreement is not important, you have to word it in such a way that it is not an agreement. It's a maybe. It's a if possibility comes, right? So that's one thing, to make only important agreement. The second thing is, and maybe that's the first, is make less agreements. Be aware of when you make an agreement. When you talk to yourself or you talk to others, ask yourself, or put a little like sensor on the side, saying to yourself, is this an agreement? Okay, is this a commitment? Another way for agreement is a commitment. Am I committing to this? Am I promising this? Or am I just talking? If I'm just talking blah blah, then let's not make agreements. Let's say blah blah. But if it's an agreement, then I am responsible. I'm accountable to keeping it. So make less agreements, make only the important agreements, write them down. That's the third rule. The human mind can only keep about 7 pieces of information at the same time. If you think about it, you have to-do list. Let's say your to-do list in your mind is 7 items deep. If you put another one in, the one on the bottom is going out of your memory. It's not there anymore. So you have to learn how to manage those to-do lists so that you don't keep forgetting the ones that are older or less important, or you don't feel like doing them, or you have a limiting belief about you're not capable of doing them. All of these little ones that are sitting there, imagine yourself that your basic self was really nice, and he said, for each thing that you say you're going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of information a little bit of energy on the side for you. Each thing you say, I'm going to do this, I'll put a little bit of energy on the side. And you wake up or you go through your day and you're tired and you have no energy. You know why? Because this energy is basically tied up in all these little things that you said you will do and you're not doing. Your basic self said, yeah, here is the reserve energy to do that. When you start doing that, I'll give you the energy for that. So if you don't have energy, it means that you just put your energy in so many things that you're not doing. You're just thinking about it. Or you just, decided you're going to do. So write them down. This way you don't need to remember. And we will, in a minute, do an exercise about that. And the last thing is renegotiate. Renegotiate means if I find myself in an agreement that I am about to break, and that takes awareness, okay? But if I find myself in an agreement that I am about to break because I made conflicting agreements or because, something came up, okay? Something came up and I find myself that I'm about to break an agreement, what do? I will renegotiate. I will call the person that I made the agreement with and I will say, listen, I know we have an agreement. Something came up. It's very difficult for me. I would rather do what I agreed to, but I cannot. And can we please renegotiate? Can I do it for you tomorrow? Or can I do it some other time? Or can I pay you and have somebody, and you pay, can I pay somebody else to do it for you? There are if you become creative, there are many ways that you can keep your agreement without doing it. If you find that you have an agreement that you cannot do. So this is renegotiate is very important, because then you are telling your basic self that you mean what you say, right? Your basic self now knows that you cannot keep your agreement, but actually you are keeping it, because you're either changing the agreement with the acceptance of the person you agreed to, or you're keeping it in a different way. And that's great. That's like keeping the agreement. Now, how about the agreement you make with yourself? Renegotiate. Tell your basic self, listen, I know that I said that I will going to walk 5 kilometers, but something came up and it's really more important. So let's change this agreement a little bit. What if tomorrow and the day after, instead of 5, I will walk 7.5? Is that okay? And make it okay. Don't judge yourself, because when you judge yourself, you're even lowering your self-esteem and your self-trust. You say, I failed, I cannot keep my agreements. Don't do that, because that becomes a judgment and it becomes a limiting belief. I cannot keep agreements, right? You don't want to go that route. So you say to yourself, okay, from now I will learn. When I make agreements, and this is personal information about myself, when I make agreements in such a way that I am sure to keep them. For instance, I am not saying to myself, I will walk 5 kilometers every day. I say to myself, I will walk 5 kilometers, I will walk 20 kilometers on average every week. 20 on average. So I can walk 4 days, 5 kilometers and say to my basic self, yeah, we did it. Or I can spread it out and walk 5 days, 4 kilometers, or walk 1 day, 20 kilometers, whatever it is. I kept my agreement with myself. And I say, yeah, this is success. You wanted to add something, Krasi, before we go to the exercise?
No, it was one question, but anyway, we are running out of time. I will ask you if you can answer the questions after to this girl, which she asked. She have a question here.
Okay, so let's do quickly the exercise. I will tell you what to do very quickly, and then we will answer the questions. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, so the exercise is like this. You take a piece of paper and you write down all the agreements on lines, all the agreements that you have made with yourself, with others, to clean the house, to take out whatever, to write the letter, to pay your bills, everything you agreed with yourself and with others. And you write this list. And then I want you to make 4 columns next to the list. And those 4 columns are, the first column is done. You write on top of it, finished. Look at the list. Everything that you said that you're going to do and you know you're not going to do it, just say, I'm not doing it. It's finished. I take it off the list. That's done. Okay? The next one, the next column is someday maybe. It's a good idea, but I'm not committed to this now. I'm not this, I'll do it sometime. So that's the second column. The third column is delegate. I'm going to delegate to somebody else. I'm going to go to Krasi and I'm going to say, Krasi, listen, I have a commitment to do this or that. Are you willing to help me because I have too many commitments? Can you do that? I'll pay you. And then Krasi will say yes. When I delegate responsibility, not only the task. I have to be trusting of Krasi that he will do it and I can forget about it. Mazel looking.
Okay, so I think we had problem with connection.
He will connect again, I'm sure, but
Okay, so anyway, he explained you now about the exercise. We will also post it as a daily task with all the information so you can follow. And now we're just going to do our gratitude like we always do. So like always, I will ask you to connect with your heart, so you can place your hands on your heart. And I want you to think about 3 things that you are grateful from yesterday. So just close your eyes and think about 3 things and connect with the emotion, the feelings you are having. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you for all of you, and we wish you a beautiful day, 10 o'clock, don't forget.
Marav, I just want to say something fast. When I've been to Insight one many times, but the last time I've been with Peter, and I catch this one, what he said, it's like become very clear for me about keeping your agreements with your basic self, with yourself. And Ofer is back. Anyway, today we are a bit more late, but you forgive us. We'll buy you coffee when I see you. And so he's back.
So we just made the gratitude offer, so we will close the live.
Yes, but you want to add? By the way, there are some questions which the people they are asking. So
okay,
if
you will send me the questions, but the last thing that you have to do on the list is the to do. When you're going to do it, and if Krasi didn't tell you, don't write on the list the big projects. Break them down into smaller steps that you can actually do.
We know we didn't tell them. We didn't tell them for the.
But we will post the full exercise, right? We will post everything, all the details that you just mentioned.
Okay, very good. And the questions I will ask, I will answer them on Facebook.
Yes, please. Yes.
In the group. Will do. I will do.
Okay.
Okay. I was just telling them. When I start to make my agreements with myself and with Clementine's son. One day he said, you know, Krasimir said that he's going to do this, and Clement, I said, don't worry, he will not do this. He said, no, the Bulgarians, when they say something, they do it all the time, you know. So, you know, when you keep your promise, when you do what you say, the people, they trust you more. And believe me, after this, when I start to do this, the self-confidence to myself was big. I start to walk differently, you know.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I needed to take 4 Insight 1 to understand this. So.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. And you need awareness. Awareness is very important because you have to pay attention of what you promise, what what agreements you keep.
Yes. Okay, so we leave you. We love you.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
have a beautiful day. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Ofer. Bye-bye. Bye. See you tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
Yes, not 8:30, my love, 8 o'clock. Don't let them sleep.